Hey there, geography fans. Ever heard of a little country called Kazakhstan? It's a place that often flies under the radar, but it's got a lot more to offer than you might think. No, it's not a fictional place from Borat. That movie might have put Kazakhstan on the map for some, but there's so much more to this country than a comedy film. It's a real country, and a pretty big one at that. In fact, it's the largest landlocked country in the world, which means no beaches, but plenty of other natural wonders. We're talking the ninth largest in the world, spanning a landmass greater than Western Europe. Imagine all that space, filled with diverse landscapes from mountains to deserts. Kazakhstan is smack dab in the middle of Eurasia, landlocked by Russia, China, and a few other stands you might not remember from geography class. It's a true crossroads of cultures and histories. For centuries, Kazakhstan was the ultimate highway for nomads, traders, and anyone else who didn't mind a long walk. The ancient Silk Road ran through here, connecting east and west. These nomadic herders weren't big on leaving behind marble statues or fancy pyramids. Instead, they left a legacy of resilience and adaptability, living in harmony with the land. Their idea of a good time was finding a fresh pasture for their livestock. But hey, don't judge. This lifestyle required a deep understanding of nature and the seasons. They knew how to survive in a land where winters are colder than a polar bear's nose and summers are hotter than a politician's promises. The extreme climate shaped their way of life. So, while Kazakhstan might not be on everyone's top 10 travel list, it's got a fascinating history and a unique culture worth exploring. From traditional festivals to modern cities, there's something for everyone. Think of it as the ultimate underdog story, just waiting to be told. A place where ancient traditions meet modern innovations, creating a rich tapestry of experiences. Buckle up because things are about to get interesting. Whether you're an adventurer, a history buff, or just curious, Kazakhstan has a story that will captivate you. Okay, so maybe those nomads weren't the first ones to call Kazakhstan home. This land has seen the rise and fall of many civilizations, each leaving its mark on the rich tapestry of history. Turns out there were some pretty sophisticated civilizations hanging out in this neck of the woods way back in the day. From intricate petroglyphs to advanced metallurgy, these ancient peoples were ahead of their time. We're talking Bronze Age settlements, ancient cities, and even a few empires you've probably never heard of. These were bustling hubs of culture, trade, and innovation. Take the Saka people, for example. They were more than just fierce warriors. They were also skilled artisans and traders. These fierce warriors were the cowboys of the ancient world, roaming the steppes on horseback and striking fear into the hearts of their enemies, and probably some friends too. Their horsemanship and combat skills were legendary. They were so tough, even the Persians had trouble handling them. The Saka's resilience and strategic prowess made them formidable opponents. Then there were the Sogdians, master traders who controlled the Silk Road like a boss. Their influence extended far beyond their homeland, shaping the economies of entire regions. These guys were the Jeff Bezos of their time, connecting east and west with their caravans laden with silk, spices, and all sorts of exotic goodies. Their trade networks were the lifeblood of ancient commerce. So yeah, Kazakhstan has a deeper history than you might think. It's a land where ancient cultures thrived and left behind a legacy that still fascinates us today. It's like finding out your quiet neighbor is actually a retired rock star. You never know what hidden stories lie just beneath the surface. Fast forward a few centuries and things start to get really interesting, and by interesting we mean terrifying, with the arrival of the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan, the ultimate conqueror, set his sights on Kazakhstan, and let's just say it wasn't pretty. Imagine a horde of warriors on horseback sweeping across the steppes like a conquering force of nature. That was Genghis and his crew. They were ruthless, efficient, and surprisingly good at logistics. Their empire stretched from Korea to Eastern Europe, and Kazakhstan became a key part of their vast domain. Now, the Mongol conquest wasn't exactly a picnic for the locals, but on the bright side, it did lead to increased trade and cultural exchange. Plus, the Mongols eventually settled down and became part of the cultural tapestry of Kazakhstan. It's like that time your friend's crazy college roommate ended up becoming a successful entrepreneur. Strange, but hey, it happens. Section 4. The Kazakh Khanate, keeping it real for 5 centuries. After the Mongol Empire broke up, like all good empires eventually do, the Kazakhs decided it was time to take matters into their own hands. They united under their own Khanate, which is basically a fancy word for kingdom, and ruled themselves for over 500 years. The Kazakh Khanate wasn't exactly a walk in the park. They had to deal with rival tribes, pesky neighbors, and the occasional environmental disaster, but through it all they maintained their nomadic traditions, their love of horses, and their ability to make a mean bowl of fermented camel milk. The Kazakh Khanate was a time of great cultural flourishing, with epic poems, traditional music, and intricate crafts. It's like the Renaissance, but with less focus on painting and more on perfecting the art of yurt construction. Section 5. From Tsarist rule to Soviet times. Not exactly a beach vacation. By the 19th century, the Russian Empire was expanding faster than a teenager's appetite. And guess who was in their path? You guessed it, Kazakhstan. The Russians weren't exactly known for their gentle touch, and they incorporated Kazakhstan into their empire, whether the Kazakhs liked it or not. Then came the Soviets, who replaced the Tsars but didn't exactly improve the situation. They collectivized farms, suppressed Kazakh culture, and used the vast steppes for some questionable nuclear testing. Not exactly a recipe for a happy population. Despite the hardships, the Kazakhs persevered. They maintained their language, their traditions, and their sense of humor. You try living through a Soviet winter without one. And when the Soviet Union finally crumbled in 1991, Kazakhstan was ready to reclaim its independence. Section 6. Independence Day, Kazakhstan goes solo, and things get interesting. After centuries of being ruled by outsiders, Kazakhstan was finally free to chart its own course. It was like that awkward moment when you move out of your parents' basement and realize you have no idea how to do laundry. The transition wasn't always smooth. There were economic challenges, political growing pains, and the occasional awkward encounter with Borat. But through it all, Kazakhstan emerged as a leader in Central Asia, known for its stability, its resources, and its surprisingly modern cities. Kazakhstan embraced its newfound freedom with gusto. They moved their capital, built futuristic buildings, and even started a space program. They were like the overachieving kid in class who suddenly blossoms after high school. Section 7. Modern Marvels, from Steppe to Startup Nation. So, where does Kazakhstan stand today? This vast country, once known primarily for its nomadic tribes and expansive steppes, is now making headlines for entirely different reasons. Well, they're still figuring things out, just like the rest of us. But the progress they've made is nothing short of remarkable. They've come a long way from their nomadic roots, blending tradition with modernity in a unique and fascinating way. Kazakhstan is now a major oil producer, a key player in global politics, and a country on the rise. Their natural resources have paved the way for economic growth. They're investing heavily in technology, education, and even tourism, Borat jokes aside. These investments are shaping the future of the nation. They're trying to diversify their economy, attract foreign investment, and maybe, just maybe, become the next big startup hub. The ambition is palpable, it's an ambitious goal, but hey, this is a country that's used to defying expectations. Their resilience and determination are inspiring. After all, they went from nomads to cosmonauts in just a few generations. Their journey is a testament to their adaptability and vision. So the next time you hear someone say Kazakhstan, don't just think of Borat. Think of a nation that's rapidly evolving and making its mark on the world stage. Think of a country with a rich history, a vibrant culture, and a bright future ahead of it. Their story is still being written. Just maybe brush up on your geography first, okay? Kazakhstan is more than meets the eye.